Hi everybody and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel. If you're returning, thank you so much as always for being here. I appreciate you so much. And today's video is sponsored by Cricut. Super excited about that. I will talk about that a little bit later. But for now, let's go ahead and get right on into the crafting. DIY number one. This is my inspiration picture, $155, you guys, but I thought it was super cute. I am going to use Dollar Tree wooden blocks. So I'm going to go ahead and get those prepped. And then I have my Waverly Wax in Clear and my Waverly Wax in Antique. The inspiration picture was black and white, but I thought it would be really nice to use wood tones. And so that's what I am going to do. So I was getting them all lined up as nicely as I could because these blocks are not all exactly the same. So I just want to make sure I had them nice and neatly pieced together, if you will. Now I'm just going to kind of mark for myself which blocks I want to be doing in the antique color and then which ones I want to do in the clear. And I'm going to move pretty quickly here because I don't want that antique color sitting on my blocks for too long. Now the reason I did this is I wanted to be able to fit this back together again like a puzzle because I've already figured out how they best fit, and I want to make sure that I'm not going to be putting any of the wax on the surfaces that I'm going to be gluing together. I'm going to be using wood glue in a little bit to put all of my blocks together, and I want that to be wood on wood so that I can ensure a really good bond, and I don't want that wax in there. So I went through, I used my baby wipe to take off excess, and here I am with my Gorilla wood glue. And I'm just applying it's sparing. It looks probably like a lot more than what I'm actually putting on. In fact, in a second, you're gonna see me wiping some of it off because I realized I had a little bit too much on one of my blocks. And then I also realized I didn't need to be putting it on every single edge of every single block that was gonna be touching another block. And only needed to be on one edge for each intersection, if you will. So once I got the glue all on, I'm going to go ahead and pull my blocks back together and make sure that they're all nice and lined up. And then to hold them in place while they dry, I am just going to wrap them with a couple of rubber bands. So I got the one on, I slid it down to the bottom, and then with the other one, I'll keep that up closer to the top, and that'll hold my blocks securely until they are dry. So in the meantime, I'm taking out my air dry clay, and I am going to create my X's and my O's. Now you can use whatever you would like. I chose to use clay. You might even be able to go to the hardware store and find washers for your O's, and I'm not really sure what else for the X's, but I am sure that you get really creative and do all different kinds of things. You could use Jenga blocks, for instance, but I'm using clay, and yeah, a little rolling pin would probably be good. I'm using my Waverly Wax bottle because it's, you know, I work with what I've got on hand and what's close by. So, and now as my cutting tool, I have a piece of cardstock from a pen that is still in the package. So, yes. At any rate, I am just cutting out my little X's. I will also form my O's in just a moment, but as you can see, I'm just doing all of this by hand. Cookie cutters would be great if you have cookie cutters that would work for this. I didn't have the types of cookie cutters that would work for this, so I am just making it happen. So gonna get that all trimmed off, and then I'm gonna do that 3 more times so that I have 4 X's. I'm just kind of smoothing out the edges there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna create my O's as well. And I'm doing that in the same fashion, but I'm gonna come in with my little craft knife to carve out the circle in the middle. Now, at first I had only done 4 O's, but it occurred to me just before I got ready to paint these that I needed a 5th O. So, because we do have 9 squares on our little tic-tac-toe board, so we need 9 of these figures. You could do 5 O's and 4 X's, or you could do 5 X's and 4 O's, whatever is your preference. I made an extra O for my set. So once I had these all done, I completely thought I had turned my camera on for spray painting these, but instead you're getting to watch me dry them with my heat gun. But I used a metallic silver hammered metal paint, and there they are. DIY number 2. This is my gather sign. I love this. I'm going to show you how I did this with my Cricut. So this is a Dollar Tree home sign. I'm just going to pop off of that little heart shape, and we're going to use the back of this. So I'm going to prep it, taking out the little staples. Please don't do what I do here. I am obviously not being real safe using a knife to pop those staples out. They were not real in there real strong, so they popped out easily. Just be careful. I used my sanding block to smooth out where the staples had been, and now I'm just coming in with my Adirondack White by Home Decor chalk paint, and I'm making sure I'm getting all of the little edges as well. I am not worried about the back side because we can cover that up with craft paper and give it a really nice clean finish. So now my Cricut Explore 3, you guys, I was so excited to open this machine and check it out. I had heard wonderful things about it. As you know, if you've been watching me, I've had a different type of machine, and I was excited to see how this was going to compare. I was amazed at how easy this was. I have to admit, it is Bluetooth enabled, so all I had to do was plug it in. Oh, it was so cool. When you press that little button and the machine like opens up, it's got storage little containers for all your little tools. And yeah, you can see me clapping. I'm all excited. And this is smart vinyl, so you do not need a mat for this vinyl that I'm using. I'm just turning my machine sideways to give myself a little bit more space. And then I'm going into the app, and I had set it up, and in the design space, they had this gather sign, if you will, or design that was already created. So here I am getting ready to load my vinyl. The little app did want an update, so that took a couple of minutes, but that was it. And then you saw that little light flashing. It was like, hello, Corie, push me. And that's how you load the vinyl. So it lets you know. This is so easy. See it flashing again? It was like, okay, tell me to go. So I hit that little button again, and it was actually the other button, and it is cutting out my design. This literally took maybe 5 minutes to set up and cut out my design. It was amazing, so simple. So I am definitely a fan. So once it was all done cutting out my image, I just told it to unload. It tells you exactly what you need to do every step of the way. I'm just going to go ahead and trim it off. Because this was smart vinyl and I didn't need a mat, I was able to just leave it on the roll, and now I'm just cutting out the rest of the vinyl so as little waste as possible. Now I'm going to go ahead and weed it. And a lot of times, if I'm going to use the vinyl itself on my sign, I will weed out the stuff around the image. This time I'm weeding this like I would a stencil, because I've decided I want to use all of that beautiful blue vinyl on my sign, and I'm going to have the letters knocked out. So the letters will shine through in white, and that's why we painted our sign white before. So I went ahead and got it onto my transfer tape, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply it directly onto the sign. I'm covering up that entire white area. I did leave some extra blue around. I knew that this was going to be larger than my sign itself because I wanted to make sure I could get this lined up, and then I will trim off the excess. And I know I've got a couple of straight lines there with the vinyl, having been a brand new piece of vinyl. So I'm using that to my advantage. I'm giving it a really good burnishing, and then I'll go ahead and remember what I'm doing and peel off the transfer tape. If I can do this, anybody can do this, you guys. So here it is. I'm just going to make sure it's nice and pressed down still so that when I lift it off the transfer tape, it didn't lift any of my edges up. And now I've got my little craft knife on my self-healing mat, and I'm just trimming off the excess vinyl. And then I will go ahead and put some craft paper on the back of it to clean that up, but I didn't show myself doing that. So here it is. I love this. Let me know what you think. DIY number 3. So for this project, I have these little tea light holders from the Dollar Tree. Got them all cleaned up because they've been sitting in my stash for a little while. And so got those prepped. And now I am taping them off because I want to paint just the bottoms of them. Now I was struggling with trying to figure out how to tape these off properly because they are tapered. They are not straight up and down at the top there. And so the tape doesn't go on smoothly. I finally realized if I focused on the bottom area, I could then just trim off the excess overhang. I'm hoping that you can see what I'm talking about here, because when you put the tape on the way I did, it goes on at an angle because of the tapering. So I did that with all 3 of them. You can see how I just trimmed off the extra and then just made sure that that seal was nice and snug. And then I just made sure that I covered up the tops so that none of the paint was going to get in there. I'm using that box that I used earlier, this time using my metallic gold and giving everything a really nice coat of the gold spray paint. Once I had the bottoms covered, I went ahead and I flipped them over and I got the other side as well. Now you want to do this in a ventilated area. Want to just follow the instructions on the paint can and all of that fun stuff. And then once they were dry, I went ahead and pulled off my tape and I was looking good. Very happy with how those turned out. So now I have a bunch of picks from the Dollar Tree and I am just going to identify some of these fall little flowers that I want to wrap around the bases of my candle holders. And I'm just going to come in. If you watch me, you know that I tend to love to pull apart my picks. This is going to be no different. Literally pulling apart little pieces, piecing them back together, and building them up around the base of my candle holder. So you can use any types of flowers you want. You could use little pip berries and wrap those around the base. Just your imagination is going to take you to whatever place makes your heart happy. So I just did that with all 3 of them, built the little flowers up around the bases, and just used a little bit of hot glue here and there as needed until it was the way that I wanted it. And here they are. Let's take a look. So now it's time for a shout out timeout. Very nice, Joan. These are some ornaments that Joan had made, similar to something I did not too long ago. And really pretty rose. These are beautiful and so cute, Carmen. These little fall tiered tray items. And awesome, Valerie. Valerie is making more of those haunted houses. Love all of these. Thank you so much for sharing, everybody. If you are interested in a shout out, please send me an email at craftedbycorie@gmail.com. DIY number 4. So this I am in love with. It looks store-bought, you guys, and I could not have done it. I'm not tooting my own horn. I could not have done it without my Cricut mug press. I just showed you the Infusable ink that I have received from Cricut. I picked up some mugs at Michael's that are the Cricut brand because they work with the Infusable ink, and this is my new mug press that they sent me. I am in love with this. I guarantee you I am going to be using this a lot. So I will admit it was a little bit more challenging at first for me to set up because I had just done the Explore 3 and I had it in my head that I was going to be able to do this over Bluetooth, and I couldn't figure out how to get it set up. It said to go to the website and do it, and I was looking for it and trying to figure it out. Finally, I realized that extra little cord sitting there by my phone, that is to connect it to your computer. So you do need to have a computer to get this set up for the first time. So just be aware of that. But once I figured it all out, it was super simple to set up yet again. So Now I've got my little Cricut Joy out. I have my design that I had created for myself, and I have it in my design studio, and I'm going to have it cut out on the Cricut Joy. Now, I thought that this was really cool because this little machine reminded me that I needed to mirror my image. It knew that I was using Infusable ink because it asks you what material you're cutting on. And when I told it Infusable ink, it said, hello, you need to make sure that you're mirroring your image. So it prevented me from, not damaging, but wasting product, right? Because I was about to cut it the way that I'm normally used to cutting it with vinyl, but because it's Infusable ink, you're actually going to cut it ink side up, which then gets applied to your surface. So you want to make sure you mirror your image on here. This is where it's reminding me, hello, you need to mirror your image. So I went back in, I mirrored my image, and then I was able to send it to cut. Now you also want to make sure you have enough room on your table so that your little mat or your vinyl isn't bumping into things. You're going to see in a second, I try to send it through. My little box there was a little too close. Oops, bumped it. Make sure you give yourself enough space so that you don't have any interference with your mat when you're working with these machines. Helpful little tip. So now it's cut all out. I'm trimming down my Infusable ink sheet. I will go back and use that, those little pieces for other projects. And then the neat thing about this is that you don't even need a weeder tool. You can just peel it right up. It feels a little bit like a cardstock, and the backing is what's sticky. So that clear backing that it's on is the sticky part. Now, I did a font that was probably a little bit more fine than what I should have done for my very first try on this. So I definitely recommend using a chunkier font, if you will, especially if you're not used to using vinyl machines and doing weeding. So just a word to the wise, you might want to simplify that for yourself a little bit. But here I've got it all taken care of and weeded out. I'm going to apply it to my mug, and because it's that clear backing that is sticky and not the image, I can lift it and replace it if I get it a little off. So you can see me adjusting it, making sure that I have it where I want it on the mug. And now my mug press is all heated up. It was heating while I had it going. I dropped my mug in there. You see the handle out, and I pressed down the side pressy part. And now it has these little blinking lights there that it's doing its timer. So it knows how long, based on like the room temperature and everything apparently, it knows how long to press. So now I'm going to take it out. It is extremely hot. I am only touching the handle, and you can see I have my little Cricut mat there to set it on. Once it's cool, which takes about 15 minutes, you can go ahead and peel away the backing and that cardstock, and look, the ink is infused in. It is dishwasher safe. It is microwave safe. I love this. And I hope you'll join me for Coffee with Corie every other Sunday. Here we go with the final reveal. Okay, everybody, that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed the projects. If you did, please be sure to give me a big thumbs up. It really does help support my channel. Please also leave me a comment. That helps me to get recognized on YouTube and helps me to grow. Thank you so much for all the love and support. You all mean the world to me. Until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.